Hello and welcome, everybody. This is Civil Authority. My name is Rick Hidalgo, and I will be your host. Over the next few weeks, we're going to be going over some very important information. I would like to invite and challenge everybody to come on board and to uh, register by subscribing to the channel and being a part of this study. Today's study is called Regaining the Gift of Liberty. And of course, in order to regain something, that means that you had to have had it at one point, lost it at another point, and now you're going to reestablish it. And that's very much what happened here, as in the beginning of the founding of our country, we the people collectively got together and we said, this is how it's going to go. We're free to do whatever we want to, except for these few enumerated powers that we're going to give to you, and we want you to do these things. We made it very simple, and over time, the intent and the purpose has been corrupted. It's been very difficult for us to come back now and say, hey, we've got it all wrong. We need to come back and reassert these the true intent, and it's been difficult for us to do so. But today the discussion is going to be concerning a very popular subject. You'll hear a lot of people talking about the certificate of live birth and what it actually is, and why it's important for us to understand this. But I'm going to present it to you in just a little bit of a different way that maybe you hadn't heard before. And the way I'm going to present it to you, I'm going to show you that we can use this to regain our liberty. And this is not a pipe dream, but this is truth, absolute truth. If we first realize that all law comes from our Creator, that there could be no law outside of a Creator, because a Creator creates the conditions for the law. It's the simplicity of trust law. First, you have a grantor. The grantor creates the trust. Says, hey, we're going to call this trust the earth. This is what God did in Genesis 1:1. He said, I'm going to call this trust the earth. Okay? So I'm going to grant the earth. This is property. He places it into a trust. It's a constructive trust. He says, okay, this is going to be the law of the trust. Some very simple things that he laid out at the very beginning of creation, making us well aware of what his intentions were. Be fruitful and multiply. So he wanted us to populate the earth. I give you dominion over the earth and all the things in it. Okay, so he wanted us to caretake for all that was in the earth. Then he said, I give you power to subdue the earth. He wants us to subdue the earth. So we then create government, which is based on consent, and we subdue the earth. We bring it into line with God and his intention. God being the grantor. The grantor creates the law of the trust. And in so creating the law of the trust, he names two different species. He names a beneficiary, and the beneficiaries are the sons and daughters of Adam. That's the beneficiaries. We're among those beneficiaries ourselves. Okay? And he also names trustees. He says, okay, well, these are the trustees. Adam, Eve, you two are trustees. You're going to ensure that the law is followed. Later on, we have the priestly tribe, the tribe of Levi. They, in fact, were the trustees of the law. All throughout history, we see the relationship of the trust. We see trustees, we see the grantor, and we see the beneficiaries. Okay? Trust law is a fact. It emanates from all law. You can't have law without trust because you have to trust that it's law. It's very simple. It's not complicated whatsoever, but we have complicated it by addressing everything as law. Have you ever noticed that when somebody says something is law, everybody goes, "Oh, it's law. We've got to obey it. It's law." But we have to qualify it as law first. It has to pass certain tests before it can certainly become law. And just because someone says it's law doesn't make it law. Did you know that your Congress doesn't have the power to make a law? Unless it's one of the enumerated powers. They can't make law. No one can make law unless it's been granted to them to the authority to make law. We've got to start thinking. So today, in our first episode of the series here, Regaining the Gift of Liberty, I want to take you back to the birth certificate, the moment that you guys were born. And I want to take you on a little bit of a journey. Maybe you've heard this before, maybe you haven't, but I'm going to tell it to you differently today. Okay? If you look on the screen, on the bottom left portion of the screen, I've got a copy of a certificate of live birth. I want you to notice a couple things. Number one, there's a section there called informant. And the informant in this case is your mother. And your mother is going to inform the state that you were born. And the moment that she signs that notification, they take your footprints and they place it on this piece of paper. And they send it to the registrar. And they're filing at that moment that, hey, the baby was born alive. Okay? Here's his feet print, right? The baby was born alive. The mother has testified that the baby is born alive. So, notice that nowhere in there is there a signature of the father. It may, as in mine, say that where the father's from. Okay? It may say possibly his name, the alleged father. But you'll see very quickly that his signature is not on that document. Now that's quite precarious because if you go back to true law, and remember all true law, origins of law, come from our Creator. Our Creator made man the head of the woman, not to beat her down, people, but to love her as Christ loved the church. And so think about every way that Christ loved the body of believers, and that is the way he was to treat his bride. Okay, so we've got to think about this for a second. Why would the state go to the mother to ask the mother to be an informant? And why call her an informant? Why not just say, hey, guess what, guys? This is the mother. She's got authority. But no, in fact, they've created her. They've created an office of informant for her on this birth certificate. Now, so she registers the child to the state. Now, immediately, the first thing that happens is the hospital, according to the regulation of the state, must run an ad in the paper announcing the birth of the child. Now, we think, oh, this is just a cool little thing where the hospital announces the birth of the child and everybody knows that the child's born and everybody can throw gifts at us. But in law, what they're actually doing is noticing. They're noticing the public and saying, hey, bouncing baby boy was born on so-and-so day at so-and-so time. And without so many words, they're saying, come and claim him. Come and claim him. Whoever is out there who is who's got the authority to claim this child, come claim him. Without telling you that you need to claim him, that's what they're saying. So what happens? The child now being delivered into the hands of the state after a certain amount of time, according to law, and I use that term very loosely, law, is proclaimed to be abandoned. Now what happens to an abandoned piece of property? An abandoned piece of property is construed to be ward of the state. The state must handle that piece of property, and the state must create the law for that piece of property. That is one of the functions of their law. In fact, the statutory law, doesn't apply to unabandoned persons who have a law to go by, who have a law whose law is the natural law, the inheritable law of God. They have a law. They don't need a law. Statutory law is for the people who are abandoned, who need law, who need somebody to come in and say, hey, you cannot text and drive. Hey, you cannot own an eagle. Those are free birds. They create law to keep their property safe. This is part of their property that's been handed to them, that's been abandoned. And by law of abandonment, they have taken authority. So they create what's called a constructive trust. Okay? Your birth certificate, at the bottom of it, has a seal. That seal is a seal of the probate court. Your birth certificate has been probated because you went abandoned. So they are claiming you as a ward of the state. So they appoint judges to be your trustee. And if you ever speed or run that stop sign, they're going to pull you in. They're going to say, hey, you've got to be safe now, mister. And notice they always pull you in under your all capital letter name because they're actually addressing that trust. Not you. They're addressing that trust. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go into your wallet. I want you to pull out everything in your wallet. Look at all your cards, all your Social Security card, your driver's license, every bill that you get from a utility company, every bill that you get from a bank. Notice that it's all in capital letters, all caps. Do you know that that's referring to an estate? That is the estate that was created for your benefit when you were born. Because the way it actually happened is this. The mother was the grantor of the estate. Now, yes, she didn't really have the authority to be the grantor, nor did she know she was being the grantor, but she was the grantor of the estate. But because she provided no law, and because she abandoned you, presumably abandoned you, never came forward and claimed you, the state made law. The state made a law that you must follow. So now you're busy following the law, and you don't know any different. See, this is the way it happened. This is where we lost our liberty. No one knows who they are. Yes, folks, there is a way to regain your liberty, but it's going to take work. You're going to have to study and know who you are. And you'll have to be able to put who you are on paper and have it authenticated. Must be acknowledged by the Pharaoh of Egypt. When Moses went into Pharaoh's court, everything had to be acknowledged. You notice that Pharaoh put him through some very foolish and miserable tests. How many times did Moses have to come into that place? Over and over again, till finally Pharaoh acknowledged that his law was correct. that Moses' law, the law that he was bringing forward, was correct. He said, "Let my people go." And Pharaoh hardened his heart. Eventually, the Lord began to harden Pharaoh's heart because, hey, Pharaoh had hardened it as much as he possibly could on his own. Ladies and gentlemen, the problem is constructive fraud. It's constructive fraud. By the way, I'm not offering any legal advice. This is not legal advice. This is just education. This is what I've learned through my studies. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Okay? And by the way, I control the comments on my YouTube page, so you trolls out there who want to call me all kinds of names because of my past associations with people that you don't like, all right? You guys can go jump from whatever you want to. You can jump off a matchbox, you can jump off a bridge. That's up to you, all right? I don't really care what you trolls decide to do, but leave me alone. I'm minding my own business. I'm here trying to educate people and show them that there's another way. So, let's get back to the subject. So you see, a estate was created on your behalf. It was for your benefit. Originally, your mother was the grantor of the trust, of the estate. It was created upon her upon her information. Okay, but because she didn't come and collect you, because she didn't claim you, you became a ward of the state, and as a ward of the state, you're under their laws, and you must follow their laws, until such a time as someone comes and claims the office. There is an office of that estate that I haven't mentioned yet. I've mentioned to you the office of grantor. He's the lawmaker. I've mentioned to you the office of trustee. He's the one who makes sure that the laws are followed. And I've mentioned to you the office of beneficiary. He's the one who benefits, supposedly benefits, from the law. Okay? But there's another office. And this office is the office that God holds in the whole equation. And the moment that you assume this office, you are acting as an ambassador of the Creator of heaven and earth. The office of executor. The office of executor is an office of one who non-statutorily is the lawmaker, and he is the one who administrates the estate. It is his duty to ensure that the trustees are doing their job, that the beneficiaries are being benefited, and that the wishes of the grantor, the testator, another word for you, the testator, the grantor, that his laws are being observed. And I'm here to tell you, folks, that the testator of humankind is Yahuwah God himself. Yahuwah God, through his Son, Jesus Christ, the King, capital K, of kings, lowercase k. The Lord, capital L, of lords, lowercase l. He is the King, and his law reigns. And you, as a disciple of Christ, as one who emanates from him, as an ambassador or a minister of reconciliation. How many names do we have to have before we finally get it? How many titles under the laws of liberty must we have before we finally get it? We are important. We are the civil authority. When we pop up our heads and begin to take our role seriously as executors under Christ, there's no court in the land who has authority. You are the law. As long as you follow the 10 Commandments, you can't hurt somebody because then they're going to take that law away from you. But you're the law, folks. You're the keeper of the law. You are the man. Okay? I grew up a wrestling fan. Ric Flair used to say it all the time. To be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo! Okay? That's what I'm talking about. You are the man. You're the executor. And for those of you, by the way, that are women whose man has left them, and you're above the age of majority, the age of 21, you can be the executrix instead of the executor. It's the executrix, okay, of the estate. You have, your name appears on the estate, the trust forming document, which is the application for a birth certificate, application for birth registration, that your name appears on it. So you are a holder in due course of the estate. And because you are part of one of the holders in due course of the estate, you have authority. You can claim that authority back. It is not past. Your time is not past. You can claim that authority back anytime. What I am trying to get across to you guys today is very important. You are the law. You're the law bringer. You create the law by authenticating the law. And that's a very important word, and we'll get to that at a later time. I'm going to show you some some things that are on the book. The most important things for you to study right now. Let me give you a list. Here's what I want you to study. Just like I have. I want you to look at the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. One of the things that we granted our Republican form of government was the ability to set rules up for the court system that would apply anywhere that you go in the entire United States, any of the 50 states. Okay? This is one of the authorities that we gave them. This is what the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure are. I want you to look those up and look up two specific rules for me. I want you to look at Rule 17, and I want you to look at Rule 44. Rule 17 and Rule 44. And I want you to bring the mindset that I just developed for you on this episode. Okay? Bring that mindset to Rule 17 or Rule 44, and I want you to apply that mindset. And anywhere that you see the word state pop up, I want you to put an E in front of it for estate, because it's the same thing, folks. It's the same thing. So, think about it. Think about the fact that, well, I don't want to get too deep. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I don't want to get too deep. There's going to be more shows coming up in the near future, and I want you to be able to comprehend the little piece that I gave you now. It might be a big piece to you if you've never heard it before, but I want you to comprehend it, and I want to move forward from here. Next time, we're going to study Rule 17 and Rule 44. We're going to do it together. All right? So, ladies and gentlemen, again, I have to remind you, none of this is legal advice. I can't give legal advice because I don't belong to the bar, and I don't want to belong to the bar. I could care less about the bar. Okay? I've never been to a bar. Well, maybe I have been to a bar. I think I watched a football game at a bar one time and ate some wings. Okay? So yeah, I have been to a bar. But the other kind of bar, those guys are, they're oblivious to true law. They are beholden to the probate court, and they don't understand any of this stuff. So I'm not interested in being a part of their association. I'm not interested in their legal system. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm not here to offer legal advice. I am just simply here to educate people based on the things that I have learned. And if I'm wrong, hey, you know what? I'm not going to be the first person ever that was wrong. But if I'm right, I hope it gives you hope. And I hope you move forward with it and begin to understand how you can use this. Anyhow, that's enough for today. For my staff here at Civil Authority and from my humble little office here in Salem, South Dakota, I want to give you the biggest thumbs up. I want to say God bless America, and I want to say God bless you. In Jesus' name. See you later. See you next time. Goodbye.